Welcome to Board Gems. In the past, I've covered a game called Rheinländer. It's a game I like quite a bit, designed by Reiner Knizia. I have two versions. Let's show them to you. Here they are side by side. The German edition from Parker Brothers, 1999, is on the right, colorful, maybe a little bit childish to some, I don't know. On the left, the English edition from Face to Face Games from 2005. I've seen people describe the Face to Face edition on the left as one of the better board game covers out there. It's really evocative, really stands out. But the back of the Face to Face Games box, actually it's not just English, is it? Look, it's English and French and Japanese and Korean and Spanish. And of course English is represented by an American flag, which is, I have feelings about that. Anyway, it's not really selling the game very well. It just has these weird two illustrations and a very tiny image of the game board. Whereas the German edition has a nice big image of the game board with stuff on it. And also showing cards and coins and other stuff. That looks fun. The Parker Brothers edition is in a long box, more or less similar size to something like a Ravensburger long box. Face to Face's Rheinländer is more or less Goldseber size, so pretty thick, not as long. In fact, not as long as Goldseber boxes, a little bit shorter. Still is a size, both are sizable boxes. Face to Face's edition does come with a plastic insert, which I don't have. It has space for cards and wells for everything. That's, I think, the way to go for an insert. Now, the German edition, I am impressed that it just has really cool spaces for everything, but it's not terribly practical. These cardboard tokens, each player gets 25, but you insert them into these spaces 5 at a time. And after you play the game, putting them back in is a hassle. On the right, the dukes, I guess you'd call them, the plastic pawns, which I'll show you again later, they fit snugly into individual round wells each pawn slips into, and they fit in snugly, which means you have to put in a non-zero effort to pull each one out. Not so onerous. But yeah, it's not as easy to take it out and put it back in as you might like. These are the boards, Old German on the right, newer, still 2005, not new, but newer English edition on the left. The newer edition is bigger, but it's also different in a few notable ways. For one thing, the board is a bit more abstract, which does help things stand out, helps make for a readable board game state. But importantly, the board is set up differently. In both editions, the 4 and the 17 spaces are adjacent, but if you look at, for example, 14 and 29, they are not adjacent in the old, and they are adjacent in the new. The other thing that I like to note is that in the old board, every single space is adjacent to at least one round space. The round spaces are where tokens go that players fight for. Every space is adjacent to exactly one token, whereas in the newer edition, there are some spaces like 30 that are adjacent to 2. Of course, they're on opposite sides of the river, but more importantly to me, there are dead spaces, 43, 47, 48, that are not adjacent to any tokens. So I could take or leave the 1429 spaces and 1330 spaces being adjacent to each other. I don't find one better than the other. I do have a preference for the old in that there aren't any dead spaces. Everything is adjacent to a token. But I like the look of the newer one more because it's a bit more abstract. The numbers stand out better. Player pieces, Face to Face on the left, Parker on the right. Parker's pawns for the dukes are quite nice. I like them, and they're a very solid plastic. The cardboard shields, though, I find they're a little bit detailed, and when put on the busy German board, it just feels a little bit messy, the presentation. Face to Face on the left is a bit cleaner. Those dukes, I don't really have a strong preference. I guess I have a slight preference for the older dukes because they take up less space on the board, but they still stand out. Face-to-faces are larger, and sometimes it can be hard to find a place to stick them. But the wooden pieces are the way to go. I find the abstract look of the Face-to-Face edition works better for my eyes. Now, for some reason, starting with this photo, I switched, and now it's the old edition on the left and the new edition on the right. Sorry to be confusing. So German cards on the left. No real comment about the art on either edition. I don't feel like either company put in a lot of effort in the art. And in the old edition, the bishop was a card. That's kind of boring. The bishop is something that players can win, and then whoever has more churches gets to take it from the player who had it before, so it passes around a little bit. Obviously inspired by El Grande, the face-to-face edition comes with a pawn, and it's much larger than it needs to be. I think it's even larger than El Grande's pawn, I think. Definitely meatier. These round tokens go onto the round spaces on the board. These are the things players are fighting for. Towns, valued 2, 3, and 4, and churches and fortresses. The churches and fortresses are illustrations in the old edition. Okay, I don't really prefer that. Yeah, again, I find the abstract look of the church and fortress in the face-to-face edition to be more appropriate for the game, I feel. And importantly, that fortress token in the German edition looks a little bit similar to the wall, gate token, bastion, I forget what they call it. But each player gets 3 of these pieces. And so they're cardboard tokens in the old, and they look kind of like the fortresses. You have to point to people like, okay, the bastions are the ones with the door, the big hole in it. But in face-to-face, they're large wooden blocks. So that's pretty great. When you take control of a church, you get the bishop token. I prefer the really old style of the old. The bishop tokens in the face-to-face edition are really bland. And finally, money. They're both single-sided, so you can keep the money face down and kind of hide how much you have, more or less. People can see you have a lot of tokens, but they might just be ones, right? Anyway, same denominations, 1s, 5s, and 10s. The Parker German edition are shaped like coins, old-style coins, which is great. I don't know what these are supposed to be in the face-to-face edition. Ingots? They're very clear, but really, really boring. I wish I could combine these 2 editions, but the player colors are different between the 2. Ah well. Hey, thanks for watching. Remember older games like this one? Rheinländer, that's what it is. Don't stop being good because newer games take care. Wait, what? Older games don't stop being good even when new games come out, right? Okay, I think I got it. Take care.